Welcome to the Sacred Medicine Podcast. My name is Margaret Romero. I'm a Columbia-trained functional medicine nurse practitioner, and here I uncover the truth behind chronic illness so that you can finally heal. I'm a women's health and hormone expert and love empowering women to finally live their life fully and powerfully through optimal health. This is the Sacred Medicine Podcast. You are listening to the Sacred Medicine Podcast, and today I'm just going to be talking a little bit about chronic anemia. This is definitely something that I struggled with early on in my lupus diagnosis. I was severely anemic to the point where I needed a blood transfusion. So I want to talk about this because I think that it has less to do with being iron deficient and that there are deeper things going on that no one ever really seems to check. And in my case as well. So granted, anemia comes in many forms, and the reasons, there are definitely several reasons. One, obviously, if you're bleeding, you'll become anemic. If you've got heavy menstrual periods, you'll become anemic. If you have a gastric ulcer that is bleeding, you will become anemic. And in my case, I had kidney issues. Therefore, I was spilling blood into my urine and I became anemic. That was one of the reasons. But I wanted to share with you another huge reason that people are anemic and they don't know, and it's not necessarily investigated. And that is having permeability issues or leaky gut. And I think that this term, leaky gut, is a term that is not necessarily recognized in conventional medicine, though there are many, many studies that talk about permeability. It's a fact that it happens and that it exists. Yet in the medical model, in conventional medicine, what can you do about it? Do they necessarily know how to treat permeability issues? No. The answer is a big fat no. And one of the biggest things is when you're looking for reasons behind the anemia, surely when someone has a chronic illness, someone that may be malnourished, they are most likely going to be having some sort of gut issue, thereby leading to permeability issues. It's just what happens. And I see it. Every single one of my patients has gut issues. If you have autoimmune conditions, you have a gut issue. There's no doubt about that. It just is truth. And I wish that it could be taught in medical school. It is a functional medicine. It is within the functional medicine model where we look for root cause behind chronic illnesses, that we find and uncover things such as gut issues, because it is one of the most important places to look initially. Absolutely. It is the first test that every single one of my patients gets done. So now you're thinking, well, how does this happen? Why does somebody even get this to begin with? Amazing question. And here's the answer. The thing is that when you develop a autoimmune condition, right? And we're thinking that it's largely due to gut issues. It could start there. That and toxins are two of the biggest ones, right? So when you start to have gut issues, it could be due to food sensitivities. And again, it's not necessarily looked into when you have an autoimmune condition. Is your rheumatologist actually ordering a food sensitivity test? I don't think so. They may be sending you to an allergist, and allergists are typically doing skin testing, which is an IgE response, which is the type of response such as peanut or like a shrimp allergy where your lips get swollen and you can't breathe and you have to be rushed to the emergency room. That type of acute response is an IgE response, and That is not the type of food sensitivity I'm talking about. That's a food allergy when I'm talking about our food sensitivities. And food sensitivities can sometimes take up to 12 plus hours for your body to respond. And sometimes you don't know, or sometimes you're running to the bathroom and having diarrhea. Sometimes you're getting a joint pain from it. Sometimes you may be getting gas and bloating from it and not realizing that you may have a food sensitivity. So then what happens? Let's say it's avocados and coffee, and those are my two, okay? Let's say it's those, and you're like, how could it be avocados? Or how could it be cucumbers? Those are healthy things. Well, it could be anything, healthy or not healthy, right? And you continue to consume it, thereby sort of breaking down the barrier, this delicate mucosal barrier in the gut, and causing it to become permeable. That in itself triggers an autoimmune response. Okay. Now, what else can cause it? Pathogens, parasites, worms, H. pylori, Klebsiella, all of these things and more that are found in stool testing. And let me also, I need to say that this is not a stool test that you go to LabCorp Quest to get. You drop it off your doctor's office and then they just, send it to a local lab. No. That type of test is not even, it doesn't even come close, not even close to what a functional stool test is. Functional stool testing is about 5 pages long. It tells me about your microbiome. It tells me what type of H. pylori you have. If you have a virulent strain of it, a slew of different parasites, a slew of worms. It tells me if you have enough digestive enzymes. It tells me if gluten is causing an issue in your gut. If gluten is actually causing inflammation. It tells me if you have blood, if you have fat in your stool, right? Because those fat in your stool is definitely a sign of permeability issues. It gives me so much information. If you have yeast or candida, what type it is. It tells me if you're able to break down toxins and eliminate hormones from your body. It gives me so much information. So if you've got chronic anemia, either you're bleeding from somewhere, like heavy periods, fibroid, a massive fibroid that's bleeding, right? If you've got a gastric ulcer, and they would need to do an upper endoscopy in order to prove that and see that. But leaky gut, you can't see that in a colonoscopy. No, you can't. You can't. So during a colonoscopy, if you're thinking, well, I had a colonoscopy, they said it was fine. They just removed like a polyp, but I'm good. No. When they do a colonoscopy, they're looking for ulcers. They're looking for lesions, masses, polyps, something that they can see with their eye, right? And maybe they'll take a biopsy here or there, remove something and send that out for biopsy. But there's no way they can tell if gluten is causing inflammation. There's no way they can tell if you have enough digestive enzymes that are helping to break down your food. You know what I mean? So there's so much, they know, oh yeah, you have this particular strain of Klebsiella. Like it just doesn't happen. They may be able to tell if you have H. pylori, but I've also seen people get upper endoscopies, get a biopsy, comes back negative H. pylori, they get my stool test, and it comes back positive. So I feel that if you've got anemia, it needs to be investigated, and you also need to start with a stool test. Unless you know you're bleeding from a huge fibroid and you bleed so heavy every month. If it's really that bad, if your hematocrit goes below a certain number, you may need to get a blood transfusion. But sometimes there's this underlying, like your hemoglobin is 10.4, And, take some iron. They'll tell you, take some iron, and that's it. So you're taking iron, you're getting constipated, you're just like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't know what's going on. Get yourself a stool sample. So that's all I wanted to let you know today. I wanted to just drop in and let you know that if you've got chronic anemia, it needs to be investigated. I mean, how long are you going to sit in that chair and get iron transfusions? Iron infusions, I meant. Iron infusions. Because they'll give you iron. They'll even have you take it, in a tablet form. They'll give it to you in an IV. And then they'll do an endoscopy, an upper and lower. Okay. And then they're like, we don't know. Everything looks good. Well, we don't know. Okay. Well, that's when you need to reach out to either me or another functional medicine provider and get yourself a stool test. And let's do the stool test, because that will reveal more than you've ever had revealed in your entire life. So that's it for this week. If you're interested in working with me and just getting this one simple test, it's a 1-day stool collection. That is it. Results are back in about 2 weeks or less. Reach out to me. Shoot me an email. You can, the best way. Actually, if you're not following me on Instagram, I'm there at Margaret Romero. You can also go to my website and go to my contact page and send me a message through there. Or, and my email address will be on there as well. So thank you so much for listening today. I hope you have an amazing week, and love to you all. Thank you so much. Bye for now. If you have been inspired and have learned so much from these interviews, I would love for you to head on over to iTunes, leave a review, and subscribe to the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Bye for now.